Late at night, when shadows creep, whispers echo where secrets sleep. I wander through these empty streets, searching for light where hope meets. But in the silence, a spark ignites, a flicker of dreams in the endless nights. Oh, I'll rise like the dawn, breaking through the pain. Every scar tells a story, every tear a refrain. With every heartbeat I'm drawing near, in the midst of despair I'll conquer my fear. Find the light, don't lose your way. Hope will guide you, come what may. Through the storms that rage inside, I'll dance in the rain, let the troubles slide. With every step I'm reclaiming my voice. In the chaos, I'm making my choice. As thunder rolls, I won't back down. In the depths of night, I'll wear my crown. Oh, I'll rise like the dawn, breaking through the pain. Every scar tells a story, every tear a refrain. With every heartbeat I'm drawing near, in the midst of despair I'll conquer my fear. And when the world feels heavy, like a storm that never ends, I'll find a melody where my heart mends. Oh, I'll rise like the dawn, breaking through the pain. Every scar tells a story, every tear a refrain. With every heartbeat I'm drawing near, in the midst of despair I'll conquer my fear. As the sun sets low, I won't be alone. In the darkest hours, I'll find home.
All right, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. All right, there we go. All right. I hope you guys are doing well. Yes, that is actually my song. So, okay, so I'm back. I did a very short, very fast video earlier to bring recognition to this terrible situation. Again, we have missing babies. And I am with Retha. I don't understand what is wrong with you people that can't seem to keep up with your children. If that is the case, what happened? Look, now we've got a little more information, right? I think I definitely misspoke when I said earlier that perhaps this reminded me a little bit of Monkey Vaughn's disappearance. I don't think so, not by a long shot. Now that I kind of am in the case and I've got the basic details. This is actually, thank you, Sketty Nona and Retha. Yeah, it's my song. So there appears to have been abject poverty, right? That's number one. Oh, is the press conference still going on? Like, hasn't it been going on for like an hour? Didn't it start at like 1:30? Wow. Wow. Or is this a new press conference, Brown Eye? Oh, I hope that doesn't mean they found something. Lordy, I have so many windows open with projects that are not completed that I'm working on. Nova Scotia press conference. I thought it was at 1:30, but you say it's still happening right now? Hey, Drover, stop it. Drove, stop, please. 51 minutes ago. Okay, yeah, it's already ended. Okay. Yeah, I was fixing to say, wow, did they do a second one? But they didn't. Okay. So I've got some basic information. Scale, yeah, so I knew they were scaling back today. That's how I actually came upon the information. And I said, well, if they're scaling back at this point, then that's the time now to really get these photographs out and across the United States, Europe, everywhere. The more places that you can get it out and get people talking about these two sweethearts, the more hope that someone will see them. I do think that watching the press conference, law enforcement seems to be confident that they have done a very thorough search. And in fact, we found out that they have already brought in investigators from the Criminal Investigations Division. Hey, Eric Craddock, District Attorney Ray, are you paying attention to Nova Scotia, please? What in the world do you think your job is, Eric Craddock? Like, what is your job? You think, oh, well, we can't find him, so let's go get a snow cone. That's your job, buddy? Or maybe you should be considering who facilitated Sebastian going missing. What happened? You don't seem to be interested in that story, not by a long shot. All right. And I'm not focused on any one person. All I know is the story that was told by Katie and Christopher Proudfoot just simply isn't reality. It just isn't. And Eric Craddock, District Attorney Ray, here's another reality. You don't have a missing child from your home who poofed into thin air, and then you arrive into town, spend a few hours being a big shot, and then saying to your precious bride, the mother of the missing kid, dear, dear, sweet, red-headed, beautiful Princess Fiona lookalike. I love you and you are my little buttercup. And I'm going to have to leave you here alone in your angst and misery, even though you don't really have any family members close to you other than myself and Sebastian. I have got to take care of my fancy camper. So sorry, darling. I don't want to pay another week of rent for my camper that's just going to be sitting there unused. It is priority to go and collect that camper and bring it back, since I won't be sleeping there. You know what, Christopher Proudfoot? you are full of, you know what? That isn't real. It's not true. It has no basis in normal, regular human behavior. If there is a missing child from your family or your home, I don't even care if it's not your kid, if it's your niece or your nephew, your cousin, your heart is broken and your job is to support that biological mother and or biological father. That becomes the family, the extended family, that becomes their job. You ducked out on your job, Chris Proudfoot. Why? For what important, intense reason would one need to go and collect a camper within hours of leaving that camper? It is very odd. The other thing that is incredibly odd that can't be explained away or denied even through delusion is why you and Katie went back to the Yogi Bear campground when Sebastian had only been gone a couple of weeks, and legit, he could have just walked up to the house. Maybe he did run away. Maybe he's been hiding out. Maybe he was with some friends or some SO. But I don't know a mother alive that would leave the home, not even for one night, if there was the slightest chance that their child could come walking back up, or if law enforcement could find them and drive up in the driveway and bring them home. And, you know, you first said in the Nancy Grace interview, well, I don't know if I'm going to be going back to work. It's still up in the air, quote unquote. But then when Katie was asked, Drover, stop. When Katie was asked, well, why did you leave your house? Like, what if your child shows up? Well, that would be horrible for him to have been so terrified for a couple of weeks and then arrive home and literally no one's there. Like, literally, I cannot even imagine a mother that could even envision allowing something like that to happen. And Katie's answer was, oh, well, he could be anywhere. So I'm looking for him at the Yogi Bear campground. Okay, Katie, you're a liar. That wasn't a true statement. The other part of that is so weird, Drover, quit. Stop. The other part of that is very strange is that Chris starts out saying, oh, well, you know, it's up in the air whether I'm going to be working or not. But then he says, Katie says, oh, well, I had to come back with my husband because he's going to go to work. So these are the types of statements, inconsistencies, curious behavior when there are missing children that law enforcement in Nova Scotia is right now looking at. Because the curiosity will be there just like it is there with the case of Sebastian Rogers going missing. So I think that in this particular situation, I misspoke, and I don't think that this is the case similar to Monkey Vaughn in that the family's hanging out. He says, I'm going to go outside and play. And within minutes, literal minutes of being outside, the mom goes out and he's just disappeared. That is not really this situation. This situation, it appears to be much more like Summer Wells. This was a home, it just abject poverty. When you see the mom's boyfriend, Daniel, you see the place that they were living, you just sort of think to yourself, oh, how do you live? Like, how does someone manage that type of living condition? So I do think now that we know, you know, that the mother was told, if you would like to retain custody of your 18-month-old baby, you are going to have to leave the home. I don't think that it was because they had some kind of CPS investigation against Daniel. Now I'm of the opinion that law enforcement saw the condition of the trailer that they were all living in, and CPS was called, and they did a visit, an evaluation, and they said no child should be living in these circumstances at all. So that would suggest drug use also, to be able to tolerate living in those conditions. The mother has taken her 18-month-old baby and is now in the home with her mom. They live nearby, so she's not like far off. She is not really in communication with Daniel. They've had a couple of interactions since she left the home, and the brother of Daniel is basically living in the home with him. Last night, law enforcement had Daniel and questioned him for up to 4 hours. What do you guys think that means? Like, what would be the guess right off the top of your head? Yeah. Eric Craddock, if you questioned Katie Proudfoot, and for that matter, how long has Christopher Proudfoot undergone questioning? And for that matter, how long did Seth Rogers undergo questioning? Did any of them reach the level of 4 hours? Yeah, I didn't think so. So in the case of Lily and Jack, and Lily Sullivan is 6 years old, and Jack Sullivan is 4 years old. They were reported missing from their home on Garlock Road in Lansdowne Station, which is Pictou County, Nova Scotia, on May the 2nd, 2025. I believe this is land that is owned by what are they called? I can't remember. Anyway, the indigenous people that live there. The children attended school at Salt Springs Elementary, and they were last seen that morning. Authorities in the beginning believed that the children wandered away from their home, and the trailer, decrepit, broken down trailer, is located basically in a very, very rural, heavily wooded area. The law enforcement would not allow locals to come out and help them search. That kind of tells you what they're thinking. They're gathering evidence. You hear that, Eric Craddock? Excuse me, Eric Craddock. You know, the law enforcement guy in the back of the room trying not to be noticed. Yeah, you, Eric Craddock. Do you see how these real police officers are gathering evidence? You see that? You see how they're not like helping? Yeah, they're actually gathering evidence so that these two kids might have justice should it turn out that there was some curious behavior. So the stepfather, so the stepfather, what the mother, Malaya, she calls him her partner. I don't think they're legally married. I think it's like a common law kind of thing. His name is Daniel Martell. Again, he was questioned last night for 4 hours. Malaya Brooks Murray is the biological mother to the two children, and as stated, she is with her own mother and her 18-month-old baby. So I was wrong when I apologize, because I was just trying to get the pictures of the two kids out, because I hadn't seen it anywhere on YouTube. So I thought they had gone missing on Saturday. In truth, I was wrong about that. They went missing on May the 2nd, which was Friday. The kids did not go to school that day. The mother said they didn't go to school because Lily had a cough. I don't know why that would stop Jack from going to school, but Lily had a cough, and so they were not in school. Um, the mother's story is different from the stepfather's story. Oh, you hear that, Eric Craddock? Are you listening to this story up in Nova Scotia? It's so similar, and yet law enforcement is responding dramatically different than what you did. In fact, they are actually responding like what you would expect by competent, trained law enforcement. Whereas you and yours, well, you guys just sort of responded by a bunch of fraternity brothers trying to keep your little buddy out of jail. It's just so strange. I don't know what to make of it all. The mother said that she heard the kids playing, that they were all sleeping in or sleeping late. She heard the children playing. And then a little while later, she was like, oh, do you hear the kids? And Daniel was like, no, I don't hear the kids. And then when they got up, they couldn't find them. Daniel claims there is a fenced-in backyard, although it looks like the house doesn't even have a door that closes properly. So I don't know how that could be. But Daniel said that they woke up and they never heard the kids at all. They just were poof, like Chris Proudfoot said. Isn't that weird, Eric Craddock? Do you hear the similarities at all? So also Daniel has changed important parts of his initial statement. He said that the little boy Jack, 4-year-old, got short blonde hair, that he was wearing some dinosaur boots and a pull-up diaper. Later, he came back and said that he was wearing brown pants and a brown shirt. But we didn't get that in the beginning. Sort of like Christopher Proudfoot said, well, he's wearing a black shirt and it could have been one of 4 characters on it. So Christopher Proudfoot has actually got investigators playing multiple choice on what Sebastian may or may not have been wearing. My guess is Sebastian was not wearing any of the 4 options that were provided by Christopher and Katie Proudfoot. So, so the other thing about the location being very, very rural and very, very thick forest, dense undergrowth, the woods being very bad, is that there had been a 2022 hurricane that had left a lot of trees and damage in the woods, making it very difficult to even traverse. That even for these adult men and women who are well conditioned and they have the proper hiking boots and gear, even they are having a very, very difficult time getting through the undergrowth, getting through the forest. And it would, one of them mentioned it's hard to believe that these 2 small children, 6 years old and 4 years old, that they would even be able to traverse the terrain, that it's almost impossible to walk through. You hear that, Eric Craddock, like at all? I don't know. I don't think you're listening. I think you believe that you are a fraternity boy and Christopher Proudfoot is one of your fraternity members, and you're all wrapped up in people renaming rape to snuggle struggles. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, there is a teenage boy who deserved to be loved and treated with respect, something that Christopher Proudfoot doesn't seem to have any idea what those words mean. Okay. So the 2 siblings are very, very, very close. They are described as best friends. They even play together at school, not just when they're at home. And that, Jack is the quintessential boy, loves bugs and dinosaurs. And Lily is just like your stereotypical little girl. She loves anything pink and frilly. So So they started with a 911 call on the May the 2nd, 10 a.m. They had 160 people show up to search in Nova Scotia ground search and rescue. The Nova Scotia Guard, RCMP police dog services were used. They had helicopters. They had drones with infrared technology, and multiple canine units were deployed for scouring a 4 square kilometer area around the home. Searchers faced difficult challenges, including rain, fog, bogs, fallen trees. The area is nearly insurmountable for adult men. Okay, someone explain to me how this little 4-year-old little boy is able to just walk back into the middle of the woods so that he's not findable. All right. So I practiced this and now I can't remember how I said it. Sipekne Katik. The Sipekne Katik First Nation, that's the indigenous people, issued statements urging their safe return. The children are a part of the Sipekne Katik First Nation tribe. Local businesses and the Salvation Army provided meals and support to searchers, reflecting strong community solidarity. And as a side note, the community is very uncomfortable with Daniel. The locals feel like the two parents are not being honest. Their stories do not make sense. Wow, Eric Craddock, do you hear that by chance? Maybe there's a reason, Eric, that they're gathering evidence for a court of law. Something you could have done for Sebastian, but you didn't because you're too busy pretending to be a fraternity boy, protecting your little boyfriends, Christopher Proudfoot. So the missing Lily and Jack. The case was initially treated as a missing person investigation, as if the children simply wandered into the woods. There has been, even up to now, no Amber Alert issued because there is absolutely zero evidence of abduction at the outset. Right, Eric Craddock? This is how you do it. Not the way you guys didn't do it. What these people are doing, what this law enforcement group is doing, they're doing it right. You ought to be ashamed and embarrassed. You ought to retire your badge. You have no business being sheriff. You have no idea what you're doing. None. There has been no Amber Alert, but there's been a vulnerable missing persons alert, and that was issued by 3 counties the second day after they went missing on Saturday, and that was announced in the Antigonish County, Colchester County, and Pictou County. By today, May the 7th, it has now been announced that they are scaling back the ground search. The probability of survival is now 0 to none. Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon confirmed that the major crime unit has been involved since when? Oh, look, Saturday, May the 3rd. You see that, Eric Craddock? You see what they did there, right? You see how they came thinking they were going to be looking for a missing kid, but as soon as they took a look around, they started watching people's actions. They said, wow, this could end up really bad. We better get a real detective in here. See how they did that, Eric? You should be running a daycare, not being sheriff. You haven't taken step 1 in terms of being an actual law enforcement officer in the search for Sebastian Rogers. So they have now transitioned to a targeted approach. They're going back to very specific areas, searching for clues that may not have been pertinent when they were looking for 2 living children. The major crime unit involvement suggests a deeper probe into the circumstances of the disappearance. They're gathering evidence for a prosecution, Eric Craddock. See, that's what you were supposed to do as the sheriff. They are doing additional interviews with family members and analyzing any physical evidence. The public is putting out numbers to report tips. You can contact the Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers, and that is 1-800-222-TIPS, TIPS. The other phone number is 902-485-4333. Now then, Daniel Martel has publicly voiced fears of abduction. He says there is a lack of evidence in the woods and that his children, which are not technically his children, right, Christopher Proudfoot, but these 2 children, Lily and Jack, that they have a very trusting nature. And they would have gotten in anybody's car, even a stranger, if they were offered food or candy. Daniel, is that because the children were starving? Is that because you guys couldn't feed them because there was no money? He claims that he urged authorities to monitor borders and airports, criticizing the initial police responses as too slow and resource limited. There you go, Daniel. That's right. Get everybody looking in the other direction. Who else did that? So with Daniel Martel, there's currently no publicly available information on okay, how do I say that? Okay, so there are people who have claimed that they have knowledge that Daniel Martel has some Child Protective Services reports against him related to Lily, I think. The sources focus primarily on his role as the stepfather. Not any no credible reports where Jack was the focus of the investigation. Martel mentioned an altercation on the day of the disappearance where his mother had to remove people from the property who accused him of involvement. My goodness. Isn't it amazing, the similarities? He denied the accusation, stating, "I'm the only one here fighting for those 2 kids." Okay, Daniel. Social media speculation about his involvement exists, but no official reports have substantiated the altercation, the claims of the altercation. Martel noted that after the disappearance, Malaya Brooks Murray left to be with her family in another part of the province and blocked him on social media, suggesting tension. And he got questioned last night for 4 hours. Yeah, very interesting. This does not directly indicate CPS involvement or abuse allegations against him. There is question. There is opposing comments. They are unsure about when these 2 kids were last seen. Some people believe they were not in school at all during the week. Other people claim that they were in school on Monday. So there is quite a problem. There's a potential problem with the timeline here. There is no evidence of Malaya Brooks Murray having accusations of CPS reports. She is described as a stay-at-home mother who is devastated by the disappearance, and she was seen making emotional pleas for the children's return. She has expressed hope and a desire to hold them when found, indicating her distress. So her departure with the baby to be with her family and her decision to block Daniel Martell on social media are notable, but the actions are not linked to any official allegations of abuse or neglect against Daniel Martell. The grandmother, Cindy Murray, has spoken publicly expressing hope for the children's safe return, suggesting family support from her. And then the general CPS situation, CPS involvement appears to stem from social media discussions and unverified claims. And that is a direct quote by Martell. He is trying to explain away online theories. We're all crazy, basically, is what he's saying. And so remember, the Major Crimes Unit has been involved since the 3rd. Like, the kids have gone 24 hours. They had, murder detectives and such that were on scene and investigating. And so far, there have been no specific findings. So this community, the county, they are deeply, deeply disturbed by the loss of these 2 children. Again, there remains a great deal of information still emerging from the school, previous teachers, like friends of the children, and things. The picture that is emerging is that it is a bit of a dark and murky, kind of sad situation. So I do think, after really digging in, reading the reports, looking at posts and such online, we should probably be preparing for, sad news. So, all right, peeps, I have got to go. I wanted to go live and correct the misinformation that came out earlier, simply because I just had learned about the case and had not done much research. And so that is where we are today. So the law enforcement there are very suspicious. They are treating this like a criminal, an indication of criminal activity. And the family members have been separated. The mom is taking notable steps to isolate away from the stepfather, and the stepfather, he's telling tales, just like another stepfather we know about in a missing kids case. All right, I'll be back later. I hope y'all have a good afternoon. Thanks for being here. What happened?
I wander through these
Here we go.
empty
Bye.
streets, searching for light where hope meets. But in the silence, a spark ignites, a flicker of dreams in the endless nights. Oh, I'll rise like the dawn, breaking through the pain. Every scar tells a story, every tear a refrain. With every heartbeat, I'm drawing near. In the midst of despair, I'll conquer my fear. Find the light, don't lose your way. Hope will guide you, come what may. Through the storms that rage inside, Dance in the rain, let the troubles slide. With every step, I'm reclaiming my voice. In the chaos, I'm making my choice. As thunder rolls, I won't back down. In the depths of night, I'll wear my crown. Oh, I'll rise like the dawn, breaking through the pain. Every scar tells a story, every tear a refrain. With every heartbeat, I'm drawing near. In the midst of despair, I'll conquer my fear. And when the world feels heavy, like a storm that never ends, I'll find a melody where my heart mends. Oh, I'll rise like the dawn, breaking through the pain. Every scar tells a story, every tear a refrain. With every heartbeat, I'm drawing